Hi. In the last video, we talked about the psychoanalytic approach and its emphasis on the unconscious mind. If we accept the premise that part of our personality is hidden in our unconscious mind, then how can we access it? If we know of its existence, there must be some way to reveal this hidden content. Psychoanalytic theory holds that our unconscious motives and desires are expressed in subtle or indirect ways. According to Freud, only a trained psychotherapist can accurately interpret these actions to reveal the hidden content of the unconscious psyche. The psychoanalyst acts as a mental archaeologist, digging into the unconscious mind, dusting away the dirt to reveal the concealed truths of the unconscious mind. Accidents or idiosyncrasies could provide clues to the attentive psychotherapist. Freud believed that many everyday slips of the tongue or pen, misreading, incorrect hearing, misplacing objects, or temporarily forgetting names or intentions are not chance accidents, but reveal a person's unconscious intentions. We cannot claim that we misspoke. These slips reveal our true feelings and desires. In the popular TV series Friends, Ross says the wrong name at the altar. Freud would argue that this reveals his true love, feelings that lie buried in his unconscious mind. When you forget to call your significant other, does that tell us something about your true feelings regarding the relationship? So, for example, it was 1988, and the then Vice President, George H.W. Bush, was on a routine visit to Idaho. He was supposed to give a dry speech on agricultural policy and praise his successes alongside President Reagan live on television. Then he said, "We've had triumphs, made some mistakes, we've had some setbacks. We've probably all experienced times when we have had embarrassing slips of the tongue. The memory of calling your teacher mom may still haunt you. We're probably more vulnerable to these slips when we're distracted, or if we're nervous, tired, intoxicated, or as we get older. You're also more likely to trip up if you're talking too quickly. In other words, our verbal slips may reveal something interesting about the way the brain processes language, and they may suggest our current preoccupations we'd rather not discuss. But whether they ever tell our deepest secrets is still a matter of debate. So how else can we access the unconscious mind? Freud once referred to dreams as the royal road to the unconscious. During sleep, our controlled inhibition of the unconscious mind may be offline. Dreams may be a means of unconscious wish fulfillment or an opportunity to express unconscious conflicts in a safe and healthy way. However, there is still the need for interpretation. According to Freud, dreams are symbolic. When we report our dreams, we are recalling the manifest content of the dreams. This manifest content conceals the true latent meaning of the dreams. Freud used dream analysis to transform the manifest content of dreams to more important latent content. The manifest content of a dream is the surface meaning, or the conscious description given by the dreamer, whereas the latent content refers to its unconscious material. Freud analyzed his own dreams and the dreams of his clients. He identified common dream symbols, such as those in the table. We can look at common as in prevalent across individuals, and we can examine common as in repeated or reoccurring dreams for a particular individual. Recurrent dreams may occur because the conflict expressed in the dream is important yet remains unresolved, or it may be related to the anxiety people experience during the day, some type of preoccupation. So you can look and see if you agree with these interpretations of latent content. I'm not fully convinced on some of these. For instance, I've had many dreams about tooth extraction, and a literal interpretation of the latent content here wouldn't really fit. So you can see if you recognize any of this manifest content and determine whether you agree with the latent meaning that was identified by Freud. So what have we learned from more systematic study of dream content? So moving from Freud's kind of psychoanalytic perspective that relied primarily on case studies, his own self-analysis, analysis of his client, what have we learned from more systematic research studies of dreams now? Dream content is typically assessed through survey or diary studies. It is difficult to establish an exhaustive list of common dream content and to determine frequency of occurrence. Ward and colleagues in 1961 proposed a catalog of typical dreams, partly overlapping the Freudian scheme. Flying, falling, swimming, eating, finding money, losing teeth, taking an exam, losing objects, missing a train, passing through narrow spaces, and experiencing negative situations, such as being hurt, lost, in danger, or dying. In all of these classification schemes, dreams of flying and falling are listed among the most frequent. Saul and Curtis in 1967 estimated the frequency of falling dreams at anywhere from 65 to 80% of all examined cases. Griffith and colleagues in 1958 found that among college students, the most frequent dreams are those of being attacked, so roughly 84% reported those, and falling, roughly 79% of participants reported falling dreams. So the question is, what determines dream content? Falling dreams may be due to literally the act of falling asleep and the transition to sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis sounds scary, but it occurs in most sleepers and prevents you from physically acting out your dream, which may endanger you or a loved one. So it's actually a good thing. Further, it may be that people are experiencing hypnic jerks, which is an involuntary muscle twitch of one or more muscles that occurs as a person is falling asleep. Hypnic jerks are a type of involuntary muscle movement called myoclonus. It tends to happen just as the person is transitioning from a wakeful state to a sleeping state, and is usually accompanied by the sensation or by dreams of falling. So if you've ever had kind of a moment where you're just falling asleep and then you kind of jerk awake, that is likely a hypnic jerk. And so that could be one reason why people are experiencing falling dreams frequently, potentially. One theory regarding the content of dreams is the continuity hypothesis. The theory states that dreams are continuous with waking experience, in that they reflect the preoccupations, concerns, values, and interests of waking life. In 1995, researchers examined the relationship between common dream themes and the Big Five personality traits that we've discussed. Conscientious subjects more often reported a similarity between their dreaming and waking dialogue. Concerning emotions in dreams, more than half of the subjects viewed themselves as frustrated or confused in dreams, while only 16% viewed themselves as powerful and successful in dreams. Neurotic subjects were more likely to view themselves as frustrated and confused in dreams. Neurotic subjects reported that their partner in sexual dreams was typically a stranger and not someone familiar, which was atypical in general. Most people reported that sexual partners in dreams were someone familiar to them. Extroversion was linked to having more dreams said at night, which I thought was kind of interesting. And finally, agreeableness correlated significantly with both the number of dream characters and the tendency to report not being the central character in one's own dream. But surprisingly, extroversion was not related to number of characters in dreams. So you think extroverts would be dreaming about a lot of people, but it turns out those were the high agreeable. And it's kind of interesting that high agreeable people were maybe often not even playing the primary role in their own dreams. So more recent research connects neuroticism to the prevalence of nightmares. Results show that around 9% of respondents reported current weekly nightmares. More than a quarter of participants who experienced nightmares reported recurring nightmares that related to events from their waking lives. Neuroticism was the personality trait most strongly associated with both the frequency of nightmares and the experience of recurrent nightmares. Other research has linked stress during the day to the prevalence or frequency of nightmares. Palestinian children in high conflict areas reported more dreams and more threatening content in their dreams. Again, seeming to support the continuity hypothesis as a link between waking stressors, threats or dangers, and the content of dreams or nightmares. It's important to note that sleep stage could influence the likelihood and nature of dreams. REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep, is sometimes referred to as paradoxical sleep, in that we experience muscle paralysis, but our brain waves are most similar to waking consciousness compared to other stages of sleep. It was once thought that we only dream during REM sleep, but it turns out we can dream during other stages of sleep. It's just that people who are woken up out of REM sleep are more likely to report dreaming compared to those who are awoken from other stages of sleep. And the content of dreams in REM is different compared to other stages. REM dreams are most dissimilar from waking life. They tend to have more emotion, they are more bizarre and vivid. It may be that everyone has recurring emotional, threatening dreams, but only anxious, stressed, or neurotic people are waking up out of REM and remembering it. Typically, if you have good quality sleep, you shouldn't wake up out of REM sleep naturally. We usually cycle up into lighter stages of sleep before waking up. We're only going to recall and report those dreams that occurred just prior to waking up. Perhaps neuroticism and stress are indicative of poor quality sleep. People are waking up out of REM, which in turn leads to more reports of nightmares because they are waking up out of those nightmares and reporting them. So if you are like me and you tend to have mundane, boring dreams, these are likely the dreams of non-REM sleep. Initially, I thought that maybe I was so boring, even my dreams are boring, but it likely has more to do with my sleep cycle than my personality, hopefully, anyway. There are a number of alternative theories to understand the nature and purpose of dreams. Throughout history, dreams have held cultural and religious significance, but from a psychological perspective, their purpose is unknown. Recent research has demonstrated the role of sleep and possibly dreams in learning and consolidation of memory. Dreams may help us to solidify the information learned during the waking hours during the day into long-term memory. This is one reason why it is so important to get good sleep during the semester, particularly around exam time. But again, the specific or unique role of dreams in memory consolidation is unclear. The restorative nature of deep sleep likely contributes to synaptic plasticity involved in learning and memory, and whether dreams provide additional benefits is not well understood. Ravonso argued that dreams are important in some aspects of learning or maybe problem solving. According to his theory, dreams provide an opportunity for threat simulation. We can rehearse and work through threatening situations in the safety of our dreams. This may make us better prepared to tackle those threats in our waking lives. Ravonso argues that dreams were adapted from an evolutionary perspective, and that to some extent the nature of dreams is inherited or has evolved through our shared ancestry. Compared to adults, children are more likely to dream of things like threatening wild animals, a danger that our ancestors were more likely to fear, whereas as we get older, the threatening content of dreams shifts to the dangers relevant to modern society. You dream about failing in school, getting fired, losing your wallet, and simulating these threats in dreams, you may be better prepared to face them in real life. Researchers in 2014 collected information on students' dreams during the night preceding the medical school entrance exam. Over 60% of participants dreamt of the exam during the night preceding it. Problems with the exam appeared in 78% of dreams and primarily involved being late or forgetting answers. Reporting a dream about the exam on the pre-exam night was actually associated with better performance on the exam. The frequency of dreams concerning the exam during the first term predicted proportionally higher performance on the exam. The researchers state that these results suggest that the negative anticipation of stressful events in dreams is common, and that this episodic simulation provides a cognitive gain. So, suggesting that there may be some support for Ravonso's theory, and that this could be one potential function of dreams. So read in your book about other ways to access the unconscious mind, such as projective tests, ink blots, or the thematic apperception test. And check out the videos in your slides to learn more about the cognitive and threat simulation theories of dreams.